Hey bookworms, it's Jade from Bedtime Bookworm and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with my spoiler-free review of House of Salt and Sorrows by Aaron A. Craig. I received a free advanced reader copy of this book when I attended the North Texas Teen Book Festival earlier this year. In fact, I actually got it signed by the author. I'm actually going to be giving away my copy of this book, so stay tuned to the end of the video where I talk about that giveaway. I'm not giving the book away because I didn't enjoy it. In fact, I did enjoy it and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I just want to share this book with other people so that other people can also enjoy it. The majority of this video is going to be spoiler-free, but I do have a couple of spoilery things that I want to talk about at the end of the video. This is a YA high fantasy, although it definitely has a historical setting feel to it. This is actually a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling, which is a fairy tale that I am not very familiar with. Anna Lee lives in a manor by the sea with her family. She was one of 12 sisters, but over the years, 4 of her sisters have tragically died. There are rumors that her family might be cursed because of the sisters that have died, but Annalee starts to think that maybe, instead of being cursed, someone is murdering her sisters. She and her sisters also discover a magical door that leads them to other places with fancy balls where they can dance the night away and try to forget about the grief that their family is dealing with. And then Annalee finds out that her youngest sister has been seeing the ghosts of her dead sisters, and then Annalee starts to see these ghosts too. The main progressing plot of the story is the mystery behind what is happening to Annalee's sister, and is her family really cursed, or is there a murderer? One of my favorite parts about this book, as it is about a lot of books, is the world building. While Annalee lives on this island, it seems like her country is made up of multiple islands with little towns in them, as well as some mentions of a mainland with people that live there. There are multiple gods in this world, and in many ways that reminded me of like Greek and Roman gods. They're gods that have personalities and are gods of certain things, and these gods are also known to dabble in human affairs occasionally. Because Annalee's family lives on this island, they mainly worship this sea god, and some bits of their religion reminded me a little bit of the Greyjoys from Game of Thrones, although a lot less brutal and bloody. This book was also very atmospheric. It just gave me this sense of eeriness and foreboding, but at the same time that was really juxtaposed with these balls and these gorgeous gowns and these pretty shoes. There are a lot of like traditionally girly things in this book. All of the sisters that are alive love dancing and are obsessed with boys, and they play music, so all very stereotypical princessy things. An example I've given to describe the atmosphere of this book is that it reminded me a lot of that scene in the animated film Anastasia, where Anya first makes it back into the palace, and she hears this eerie music and she sees the ghosts of people in these gorgeous ball gowns dancing all around her. Annalee is the only perspective that we see from in this book, and it's written in third person past tense. I have to admit, she wasn't my favorite character to read from. I often found her kind of annoying and naive. Sometimes naive characters work for me and sometimes they don't, and in this case, I did find her to be frustrating at times. She is determined to figure out what is going on with her sisters, and she really thinks that there is a murderer about, and the way that she went about trying to figure out who this murderer was drove me a little insane. As soon as anybody did something suspicious or she didn't understand someone's motivations, she was convinced that they were the murderer. And then as soon as they proved themselves not to be the murderer, she latched on to another clue and was convinced that that person was the murderer. And I found that really annoying because I would be sitting there thinking, why are you so sure that this person is the murderer? You have this tiny, tiny clue. There was a point in the middle of the book where the pace was kind of slowing down and the story was starting to lose me. There are a lot of different threads going on. There's the whole mystery around who or if someone is murdering the sisters, and then there's these ghosts of the sisters that keep showing up and that the youngest sister has been seeing. And then there's this thread with this magical door leading them to balls to dance the night away, which I actually had a little bit of trouble believing, the fact that these girls, in the midst of all their grieving, would spend the night dancing just to get away from all their problems. But there's all these threads, and at some point I started to be concerned that the story was a little all over the place and that the author wasn't going to pull things together and was going to leave some of these threads unresolved, and I knew that I would have been frustrated if that was the case. But I'm happy to say that in the end she resolved everything and tied it all together in a way that I thought was believable and that I enjoyed. I also want to say that there is a good amount of romance in this book. Like I mentioned, all of the sisters are obsessed with boys. Annalee and her older sister are both pretty obsessed with the idea of finding a husband and getting married. There is a love triangle in this book, and I at first was really not digging the love triangle because I definitely had a preference for the direction that I wanted it to go in, and it wasn't going that way. But in the end, it was resolved in a way that I appreciated and that I thought made sense. I do also think that the romance happened a little quickly. I think some people might even call it insta love. I think that it was more insta attraction. They were definitely attracted quickly, but it's definitely in a little bit of a gray zone there. And I think some people will find that part of the story pretty frustrating, and I have to admit it wasn't my favorite part of the story. I loved the few creepy scenes that were in this book. I thought the author did a great job of describing these scenes in a way that was eerie and creepy. I personally wasn't scared while reading it, but I definitely recognized the creepiness. And then around the 70% mark, things really start to pick up and the mystery really starts to come together, and I started to see how the pieces were going to fit. There were some things that I found to be kind of predictable, but there were other things that also took me by surprise. And there were a couple moments where the author kind of faked me out and I was like, wait, what is going on? What is happening? And I thought I knew what was happening, but then I was confused, but then I sort of like figured it out again. And I just thought that part of the story was so much fun. I am definitely impressed that this was a debut novel, and I was impressed enough that I would be interested in checking out more of her books in the future. All right, real quick, I'm going to talk about a couple of spoiler things. I am going to have the word spoilers on the screen the whole time that I talk about spoilers. So if you want to skip this part, just tap on your screen or scroll forward in the video so that you can skip to the part where I talk about the giveaway. The main spoilery thing that I want to talk about is just the ending, where I mentioned that the author kind of faked me out. I was definitely starting to lose interest in the book before they go to the lighthouse, but once Annalee goes to the lighthouse, that's when things got really interesting. Fisher being dead totally blew my mind, and if you couldn't tell, Fisher is the person that I wanted her to like. I'm always the sucker for the friends to lovers trope, and the fact that they grew up together and, you know, used to have feelings for each other. I got so frustrated when this new boy comes along and she like poo-poos Fisher even though he said that he had feelings for her, and she's like so obsessed with the new boy, and I was really frustrated with that because I would have wanted her to go with Fisher. But then finding out that Fisher is actually dead and Fisher hasn't been Fisher this whole time, that made me okay with the way the love triangle got resolved. Anyways, we find that stuff out, we find this stuff out about the gods being involved and this trickster god manipulating everybody in their dreams. I loved all of that. I was really concerned that there wasn't going to be an explanation for this magical doorway and the sisters going to these balls, which was going to really frustrate me. It didn't make sense to me that these girls would be so okay with going to these balls every night when their sisters have been dying. And obviously Annalee at least was struggling a little bit with it, but it didn't seem like her other sisters were at all. So having some sort of magical explanation for why they were acting that way definitely made me feel better. And then the part where I got faked out was when Annalee goes back to the island and her family is telling her that Fisher died a couple weeks ago and she went to the funeral and that they'd never met Cassius before, they didn't know who she was. I got real confused at that point. I was like, wait, is Annalee really crazy? Like, Did she really make all of this up? I really had a moment where I thought maybe she was an unreliable narrator, and I was so confused. But then to have everything turn around again at the end, and that was all a trick, and like visions from the trickster, I loved all of that. And then, of course, the very end where Annalie and Cassius are reunited made me super happy, and I loved the ending. Alright guys, those are all of my thoughts on this book, both spoiler-free and spoilery. If you guys are interested in winning my advanced reader copy of this book that is signed, then all you have to do is leave a comment in the comment section saying that you're interested in winning this copy. You do have to be comfortable giving me your address so that I can mail it to you, or have parental permission if you're under 18, but I will be using a comment picker just to pick out someone who has mentioned in their comment that they are interested in this copy of my book. Like I said, I'm not giving it away because I didn't enjoy this book. I just don't think I'm going to reread it, and I want to share this book that I enjoyed with other people so that they can enjoy it too. If you have read this book or want to read this book, let me know down in the comment section. Please keep your comments spoiler-free, but if you want to talk spoilers, then feel free to DM me on Instagram or on Twitter. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content. That is all I have for now. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bookworms, keep reading. Bye.